You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to prove you guys. I'm going to prove to you I'm not going to trim my nails.
No, don't do that.
Until a Democrat is in office.
Don't do that. Don't do that. That is an awful idea. Hey now, how are you? Good? Yeah, I'm doing well. Glad to see you. And glad to see you, John Bird.
Hey.
Did that make you feel weird?
It's a little, I almost responded, but then I noticed your eyes were looking at the
I was talking to the people.
Yeah, well, you want to ask me how I am?
Yeah, how are you?
Well, let me tell you. No, I'm great. I'm freaking great.
Outside of your foot falling off.
Yeah, I mean, well, I got a steroid shot.
Did you?
Yeah. The strange thing was, look at my muscles.
Dang.
After a steroid shot in my heel.
Let's all flex our muscles real quick. Let's see.
Oh, hell no. I'm not going to flex mine now.
Look, this is
You're the boss. You're the boss.
Look at that.
I know.
This is a protein regiment mixed with Mandu.
I'm coming back to Mandu.
But we're waiting on you.
I know. I've got to get... Remember, I've got to get back on the treadmill. I was going to do it Monday, but then I ended up getting the Haglund's deformity.
Well, you can still go to, well, you got to get up the stairs, but if you could get up the stairs at Mandu, you can sit down and do a workout. They're not going to make you stand on your foot.
Yeah, but I want to get my stamina up. I'm telling you, man, if I'm going to the kitchen or whatever, I'm like...
What else do you need stamina for?
Well, I mean, that's my... You know, that's down the road.
I was thinking your OnlyFans.
Yeah. Actually, I've got. I don't have anybody subscribed yet. I don't understand that.
Well, listen. Once the Bubba Army catches wind of Dr. Dingaling, those subscribers are going to go through the roof. Isn't that right, Tony?
I think so. Yeah.
I'll be able to entertain them. I'll put my outfit on and roll around the bed.
I'll say this: one of the greatest moments to ever happen to me at 5:30 in the morning. I've had other things happen at 5:30 in the morning.
I bet you have.
That were really nice. But one of the greatest moments of 5:30 in the morning came while I was on the treadmill this morning, and I was watching Bubba the Love Sponge morning show as I always do, and they start talking about their podcast lineup. Now, for those of you that watched yesterday's podcast, you know that Bubba and his crew are putting us as part of the lineup of the Bubba Army Podcast Network. I don't know the details about when it's going to be posted or how, but they're going to be posting us on their website, on their socials, and everything else. And so that's a whole new audience we're going to be interacting with. But this right here, this is actually from the show this morning. Can we take a moment to appreciate their studio, by the way? This is a warehouse of a studio. You see, just the studio part's just in the corner. They got a stage. They used to have all kinds of stuff in there, man. They used to have they used to have a torture rack they would tie people to and shoot them with paintballs and stuff, and all kinds of other wild stuff.
Looks almost as good as ours.
Yeah, almost. It's almost
there.
There.
Ways to go because ours kicks ass.
Little bit of work, Bubba. You'll get there. I'm just
ours
kidding.
is best for the square inch of it.
Right.
That size. You know.
That's like a spaceship. My gosh.
Yeah, that's about 10 times the size of ours.
Interstellar on steroids.
Is that a full bar in there?
Yeah, full bar.
Oh my gosh. When are we going?
Even the stage. Look at the front of the stage is digital. They got a digital thing going there. Jeez. That's pretty dope. You know, we have used up every square inch of our studio, and we have maximized any sort of capacity
we have.
in here. So it's perfect for us, for these three amigos. Mm-hmm. But anyway, this is them coming back from a break, and Bubba brings up the lineup. And honestly, I don't think he knows a whole lot about our show because Seth and Lummy have been the two that are dealing with it. Mm-hmm. But this is what was said.
Broadcasting live from the Aquabito Studios, aquabito.com/Bubba. It's the Bubba the Love Sponge Show.
I'm assuming because that's the way they do things, that Babyface will be sticking around later today after the show and sliding up in here with Seth Kushner to do the very, very, very popular Blizzard podcast. Might be arguably one of the most popular podcasts we have in our podcasting world.
What do the numbers say, Seth? Is it our most popular?
It might be.
I want to hear from the man, the myth, the legend.
He's got the stats.
The St.
He
Pete
came
legend.
in today rolling in with some stats saying we need to promote some of our new franchises or some of our new experimental podcasting that we're dealing with right now. Of course, we have the very much, very long mainstay of the Monday after show. Of course, Clem and Kush, Operation Pigmentation, Tiggs Bits, Tuttle and Christian. What's their show called?
Tuttle and Kristen.
Tuttle and Kristen, Loner and Stoner. What else am I missing? Tiggs Bits. Who else am I missing anything of the Blizzard?
What's the Alabama political one you have?
I got over the line. It's coming.
All right, so hold on. Let you guys know we got some new stuff coming. Here's what we got coming in our podcasting world. And if you ever want any of this podcasting stuff and you can't find a place, you can always go to our YouTube channel. Which our YouTube channel is at The Bubba Army, as most things Bubba Army are all at The Bubba Army.
And if you've ever felt like you wanted to donate to the show but you can't, listening to these is quite the donation, at least to me. So thank you.
Give us a listen. You can always go download at the Bubba Army podcast in anywhere that you get your podcasting, and our YouTube channel.
And if you hate it, I love to hear about how much you hate about free podcasts that no one's making you listen to. Please let me know.
Yeah, dear Seth, you woke ass little bitch. I hate your new podcast. You suck, Seth. Why in the hell has Bubba put you on the air? You know you don't deserve it. Signed, Phoebe.
It's one thing to maybe be like, you listen to the show on your way into work on the radio and it wasn't a great show and maybe you have an opinion on it, but to go out of your way, download a podcast, listen to it all the way, and then complain about it, that is a fascinating human being.
I know.
That person in itself.
Spoiler alert, that's on you, bitch.
That might be more messed up than we are.
Well, and then for them, the same person to complain the very next week about the same pod, like they downloaded it again. You can move on.
I think I think that the people that really, really hate us listen a lot longer than those that do like us.
Yeah, that's the Howard Stern thing, man. From Pig Virus.
So anyway, go expose yourself to some of these new podcasts. Seth, can we run down your new stuff that you're working on right now?
Yeah, well, we put Operation Pigmentation out the other day, and Loner and Stoner, and then yesterday put up Project Decalcification. That is the
Project Decalcification.
Yes.
What's that?
That's the new conspiracy theory podcast.
Okay. Project Decalcification.
Yes.
All right. With Craig's son, Latarius, and his buddy.
Can I ask what the title is symbolic of?
Seth doesn't know.
It's supposed to be a playoff declassification, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. Last time I got the name wrong and they got mad at me, so I really don't feel comfortable talking about it. I don't want those guys to be upset with me.
Seth yells at me because we don't promote the new stuff enough. But then when we do promote it, he may not know how to pronounce the title correctly, and then he gets so nervous and doesn't want to talk about it.
Well, I mean, Bubba, you and I lightly talked about some of the stuff text messages I got last week, and one of them,
I don't know why. What's this guy's name? Latarius.
Latarian.
I don't know why Latarian said some of the things he said to you. I'm not very comfortable with how he spoke to you or some of the things that he texted. Yeah, it was not cool.
Well, he said he wasn't comfortable with what we were saying on air about the podcast, so...
What, criticism?
How?
I'm just telling you why.
Latarius may not, his skin may not be thick enough to be in our world. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We don't coddle. We say it like it is, including me being the brunt of most jokes. So
I'm just I'm letting you know that I'm just prefacing a lot of this stuff with I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem.
So I guess they're talking about decalcifying the pineal gland in your brain.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, turmeric.
Give that a listen. Then I know you got a bunch of others too.
Yeah, there's one called Over the Line, Bubba, which is pretty good. I listened to it the other day.
Over the Line.
Yeah, with Andrew McLean.
Yeah, he's on the. What does he have? A morning show in Alabama?
It's afternoon 99.5 in Birmingham.
Oh, okay. And did our Tig Bits guy find this guy?
No, Andrew's a listener.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Andrew.
So,
so he's a fellow radio guy that does afternoon drive terrestrially, and he's Bubba Army.
Yeah, he's a political guy.
That's cool. I like other radio guys that admit that we're pretty good, and we are your favorite show because you're not trying to compete with me, and you're secure enough in your own radio skin to admit that we are pretty damn good, and you like me.
Yeah, so I think that they have a lot of potential. I told him to send me a show next week sometime, and he sent me a show last night. So
wow,
yeah, so
he's ready to go.
And then some more. I think we got like
so
four, maybe two or three more.
Dark Match Steve.
Oh yeah,
I did do that. I sent him the podcast last night, and I looked back after I heard that. I looked back at the messages. I was like, he did tell me to send him something next week, but I didn't know what the lineup was. Like, I don't know when they're going to be putting it up. So
but you did the right thing. That's like are you going in for a job interview, right? Mm-hmm. And you're kind of tentative, and they're like, say, yeah, just send me your resume next week. Oh hell no,
you getting it right now, Cole?
You get it right now, and then they look at it and they go, gosh, they're probably all watching that show and they're like riveted and they're like, man, these guys are really something. Look at how efficient they are.
Well, and with Bubba, it seemed like he was fascinated that there was a fellow radio guy that wasn't looking to stab him in the back, that was actually like a fan of the show. And I mean, he didn't really know anything about me. I posted a clip of us talking about them back when they had to fire that one chick, Anna, and he actually saw it and liked it and then followed me on Twitter. But he doesn't know me, and so he just seemed pleasantly surprised that there was a radio guy that was willing to team up with him instead of come around and try to railroad
or the
him.
guy that wasn't a dick that would be trying to stab him in the back. Somebody that really appreciated what he did.
Because the thing is I'm from a different generation of radio than he is. He's from a generation that you lived in as well.
Oh, those are the days.
Where your best friend will stab you in the back in order to get your job.
A couple of them will. Yeah.
So I personally never experienced that. The only time I've really been railroaded in radio is when they took you away, which was nobody's fault locally, but it's
the man.
I'm excited to team up with these guys. I think it's going to be good, and we'll have all the info that y'all need whenever that pops up. But that was a big deal for me because I've been listening to Bubba since like 2010.
Yeah, you've always talked about him.
Yeah, every time. I'm just glad he didn't dog you or dog us.
Yeah, they said. I mean, Seth said the show's good and everything else, so that's kind of
mad respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was bad, he would have said so, I think.
Oh yeah, those guys are in the business of like railing on people if it's bad. So hopefully we can get up in there in the mix and we'll be. Hopefully the Bubba Army will accept us. I mean, that's the biggest thing. That's what we're looking for. We are Bubba Army. I need to get on their website and order 3 Bubba Army T-shirts so we can each have one. I actually asked Lummy, I said, what's the shipping like on there? Like, how long would it take for us to get that? And he said, oh, they'll ship it out within a day. So we should be able to get them in no time.
Man, that's exciting. I've always wanted to be in the Army, but I was scared. When I was 18, I had to sign up for selective service. They had that back then.
Well, now's your time. You've been selected for the Bubba Army draft.
Colonel Bird.
Got to decalcify that Pinot gland.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, Merch Crick is Bubba's girlfriend. They call her Merch Crick, and she's the one that does all the merchandise. Mm-hmm. So we'll get that from her. But there's a cast of characters on that show. You had Brian Babyface, who is an attorney locally in Tampa. He was the guy in the bottom left. Mm-hmm. They have Dan Diaco, who's a plastic surgeon. All these are buddies of Bubba. Then they have Tuttle, the guy that's kind of like you. Mm-hmm. And who else do they have on there? They have
Seth?
Dan's brother. Well, Seth's a staple. Seth,
okay, so they have a rotating cast at the bottom.
Yes. That bottom left is rotating. And then maybe the best of all of them is a guy by the name of Gene Lasker, who's this old country guy that's been Bubba's friend for years and years. And he's the type of guy that will... Like, you don't know when he's just going to say something he really shouldn't say. He's a loose cannon. He's not a radio guy. He's he's just an all-American regular dude with probably a little too much testosterone pumping through his veins. Mm. But he's an older guy. He's probably your age. Not that you're old.
No.
He's probably 61 while you're 61.
Exactly. That's a big difference, that F and S. Big difference.
When I'm not watching Bubba the Love Sponge, I'm watching this new show about this girl with Tourette's. I can't even remember the name of it. It's like, what's the girl's name? Bailey or something? Bailey Bumbles. I don't remember. I don't even remember what it's called. But it's a fascinating show. And I used to see her on social media, and I was like, she probably doesn't really have Tourette's. But now that they've got their own TV show, I'm like, I think she's legit got Tourette's. I don't know if this is actually from the show or this is just something they posted on social media, but watch.
It is like the perfect place to be, at least for me, because Joe Biden lives in the White House. There's vaginas hanging from the White House. Joe Biden's buried in my backyard after snorting cocaine during the Revolutionary War of 1812. God damn. It's a mouthful, literally. I have no idea where this tick came from, but I can promise you I have no idea what the president's activities are or where he's buried. And he's still alive, so that's good. Yeah,
you're going to be getting a visit from the Secret Service. Well, I guess not. Joe Biden's out of office now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, that was strange. I've never seen a tick go on for that long.
Oh, yeah.
Usually shit. Usually it's one of those quick things.
Yeah, she has those, but then sometimes she'll go into a whole tangent, which, again, I hope YouTube doesn't ding us for that because it actually is a TV show, but maybe they'll let that slide.
It's probably on YouTube.
Yeah, I think it is. It probably
YouTube
is.
Short.
We talked a lot yesterday about USAID, obviously, and we talked about where a lot of the money went. One thing in particular that we discussed was millions of dollars that went to Iraq for an episode of Sesame Street.
Yes. Yep.
And after countless hours of searching last night, I finally found that episode.
Are you kidding me?
Nope. I found the episode of the Iraqi Sesame Street. Actually, here it is right here.
السلام عليكم يا جماعة. أهلا وسهلا فيكم. خلينا نقللكم على الحروف الأبجدية. يلا خلينا نبدأ.
So millions of dollars, and the episode was only 30 seconds long. So how about that?
That was kind of worth the money a little.
I know it kind of was, wasn't it? Yeah, we could totally do that again if the government wants to use our taxpayer money on that. I'm
maybe
good
like
with it.
4,000, not the millions or whatever.
Yeah. $4,000 on $4,000 per episode. I could go with. That'd probably be fun.
Puppets cost?
Well, I don't know. They looked a little dingy. They probably, reused from the thrift store. One person I've been patiently waiting to hear from on all of this fraud and abuse has been Senator John Kennedy from the great state of Louisiana.
Oh, man, I love him.
And he always has a way with words. He always has the ability to really encapsulate what's happening in the moment. Yeah. He's got a vocabulary unlike anybody else. And so when I started looking to find John Kennedy's comments, this is what I found on the issue.
I've been in the Senate for 8 years. In dog years, that's 56 years. Common sense is illegal in Washington. They can't get their mind around doing anything other than the Washington way. Some of them, particularly in the media, they go almost catatonic, or the exact opposite. They foam at the mouth, and they really get upset. They can make a Valium nervous. It's like the world, we're not doing things the way we've always done them, and the world's going to spin off its axis. They're very, very, very upset at President Trump. And they're very, very, very upset at Elon Musk. He said it almost every day. He said, if you elect me president, I'm going to go through the entire budget and review all the spending, line by line. If I heard him say that once, I heard him say it 1,000 times. That's what Mr. Musk is doing. He's put together a crackerjack team, and they're going through everybody's spending line by line, item by item. This has been going on for a week. People have been screaming like they're part of a prison riot. Oh my God, look at what Musk is doing. He's looking at the spending. But you know what? I haven't heard one single person who's upset with President Trump or Mr. Musk talk about what he's found. I tell you who is interested, the American people. But I'll tell you what Mr. Musk discovered. What the hell happened to all the money? He discovered that the American taxpayers are giving money to Afghanistan. We are giving money to Yemen. We are giving money to Syria. The USAID has 10,000 people, and every year they give away $40 billion. Jeez. He found that the USAID gave money to support electric vehicles in Vietnam. They found that USAID spent $164 million to support radical organizations around the world. They gave $122 million of that to groups aligned with foreign terrorist organizations. He found that we gave $2 million, USAID did, for sex changes in Guatemala. He found that we gave $20 million to produce a new Sesame Street show in Iraq.
Totally worth it.
Gave $10 million of meals to an Al-Qaeda-linked terrorist group called the Nusra Front. He took $8 million and gave it to a bunch of journalists in Sri Lanka to teach them how to avoid binary gendered language. I don't know what the hell binary gendered language is. They gave $1.5 million to rebuild the Cuban media ecosystem. I could go all night. And many of my colleagues are upset. They're really mad at Mr. Musk. Hell, I think we ought to give him a medal. Nobody can quibble with his intelligence. The guy's as smart as Einstein's cousin. Now, I'm not saying everything that USAID does is wasted, but I'm saying a lot of it is. A hell of a lot of it is. And we ought to be on the floor of this United States Senate thanking Mr. Musk. I'm just shocked that my colleagues have decided that this is a hill they're going to die on. How can you look the American people in the eye and support this kind of waste? The American people are sick and tired of people in Washington denying reality.
And that's where I'm at. It's like, is this the hill you want to die on? But at the same time, we understand how much fraud is in there and how it's tied to everybody. That's why they're willing to die on that hill.
Do you think, I've been thinking about this, do you think that the Democratic Party at some point is going to split and we'll have a three-party system?
At the end of the day, if they can uncover a particular level of this corruption, if they can, for instance, get the Epstein client list released, if they can, if they can get to the bottom of Seth Rich's murder and the WikiLeaks stuff and the Pizzagate and all that, if they can make that to where it's open to the American people, transparent to where everybody can see that,
right,
the Democrat Party would be eliminated at least for a generation.
That's what I think.
Yeah. There are certain things.
I got to say, I think it's going to go downhill for them fast because we're not going to be paying for their media anymore, you know?
Yeah, and that's all they had. That was the foundation of why they've been able to survive and do the things that they do is because of the media.
I mean, could you imagine a Democrat Party without media behind them at all? Oh, man.
And guess what? Now we are the media. We are the media.
We are.
Maybe not us, but like people on Twitter's the media now.
And it just we can be media.
Yeah.
I'll wear a suit.
We're on Twitter too.
Yeah. We could put like a logo up there.
We're all the media.
OTL News. They always have 3 letters: NBC, ABC, CNN, Fox, FOX. We could be OTL News. We need to put together a newscast. Oh my God, this is great. I'll get to work on it when I get home.
Yeah, you work on that.
This is great. We'll get James Earl. He's dead, but we'll get Morgan Freeman to do the OTL News.
We could get John Ed, TC, and John Ed.
They're dead.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Dang. Did you hear one of the guys from Ace and TJ died?
Yes.
What was up with that? Which one was it?
It was Ace. He was the one that was not in radio. He's like from music, actually, like
really?
I was. Yeah. I mean, and it was a really good show, but he left a few months earlier, like in early 2024, and nobody said why he did.
So it must
or
have been
maybe
health
he
issues.
knew. Maybe he knew that it was pretty bad.
Yeah, health issues, I guess.
56. He was 56.
Dang. I never really listened to Ace and TJ, but I was always either Rick and Bubba or Bubba the Love Sponge or Howard Stern at one point.
So are you saying if it was Ace and Bubba, you might have listened?
Yeah, I do have a lot of Bubbas. Kind of. I've even got a cousin named Bubba, so there's a lot of Bubbas in my orbit.
You know what? Maybe it's there up in your subconscious and you don't know it.
And then once we get our Bubba Army shirts, everybody's going to have Bubba on them.
Yep, that's right.
Do y'all remember the PPP loans, right? PPP, Paycheck Protection Program. It was given out during COVID to employers to make sure they could continue to pay their employees. Did you think Joe Cumulus ever got a PPP loan?
Oh, yeah. Triple P, yeah, absolutely.
Because, I mean, they cut your pay.
Yeah, I mean, I will say one thing about Cumulus. During the COVID thing, when iHeartRadio was cutting heads, Cumulus went to a 3-week pay. So in other words, you worked for a month, but you got 3 weeks of pay. You still got your insurance, and that's huge because they got rid of a few part-timers, but I survived then.
You survived COVID cuts where everybody was getting fired.
And I was the new guy, like 1 month.
But you couldn't survive the November of the greatest election in history.
Exactly.
Without getting
Exactly. Isn't that amazing?
But listen, they knew they needed you to get Donald Trump elected. That's why they waited till after the election. But didn't give us time to enjoy it.
No.
They had to poo-poo our Trump parade.
It's fine.
But anyway, PPP loans.
PPPs.
I actually got one myself and was able to get a car with it because I was doing Uber at the time. And it was perfect timing because my car was on its last leg. And so I applied for one just on a whim. They gave me $10,000.
What?
And, yeah, because I was a sole proprietor, they looked at, what I possibly would be losing and blah, blah, blah. So, as an employer, when you get a PPP loan, you're supposed to pay your employees. But if you're your only employee, well, then you just take the money and they forgive it.
My God, I had Birdworks Productions.
Oh, yeah, you could have got yeah.
Is it too late?
It's too late.
It's too late.
It's too late.
Damn it.
You could have probably got $10,000 out of that. But I didn't know you in 2020, so
That's
I couldn't
right.
tell you.
We weren't buds.
But there are people, now that we're going through all the financials and everything else, there are people going through and looking at the different businesses that took PPP loans. And, there's probably tens of thousands of people that have fraudulent businesses that claim. I mean, there's been a bunch. One of the big ones was hair salons. People would claim they have hair salons or this business or that business where they were the only employee, and they'd get these loans and it'd be forgiven. Here's a list of some of the businesses. Dodge Hellcat LLC says they got $13,000 out of Hartsville, South Carolina. The industry says convenience stores. Hellcat LLC, Dodge Hellcat LLC. Here's one: Reparations for Indigenous People LLC. $55,000 they got. It says that it's in Brooklyn, New York. Other community housing
Lots of
services.
indigenous people in New York.
Right. The next one says Just Traffic Tickets. Traffic Tickets is the name of the business. They got $20,000 out of Glendale, California. The industry says Offices of Lawyers.
Oh, God.
The next one is Free Money LLC. 15 grand out of New York.
Free money.
The industry's other activities related to real estate, apparently. The next one is lobster. The name of the business is Lobster.
Oh, my gosh.
$3,620. Other marine fishing is the industry on that one. Then you've got the business called They're Stilling Your Hubcaps Incorporated. $24,000 out of Los Angeles.
See what they can get away with.
The next one is, and please excuse my language, Fuck the System LLC.
That's my favorite.
They wave it in their face.
$18,000 out of Piedmont, South Carolina. The industry says family clothing stores. The next one is simply called PPP LLC for $45,000 out of Washington. Industry is gasoline stations with convenience stores. Then there's Rent LLC, who got $20,000. That one's actually out of Guntersville, Alabama, with the industry being lessors of other real estate property. Then you've got Jigga Vibes for $7,500. That's based out of Decatur, Alabama.
Alabama represented.
And the industry is beauty salons. Then you've got I Got Lunch for $4,600 out of Cary, North Carolina.
Cary.
The next one simply says vacation for $13,000.
Oh, God.
Out of San Francisco. Women's clothing stores is that industry.
Yeah.
Next is GR and Ass for $8,000. It says the industry is all other miscellaneous crop farming. Then there's Wakanda Merkle Dove for $20,000. And the industry is limited service restaurants.
Oh, God.
Limited service. So if you go through this guy's timeline or his thread, he said if you spend enough time going through this, it becomes apparent there are tons of businesses that have suspicious employee numbers, usually one, and often enough, these suspicious loans were at the cap for sole proprietorships, which was $20,000, and they're all addressed to the wrong people. The Small Business Administration estimated that at least 70,000 of these loans are fraudulent, and given that these are what is that word?
Denominates
in the thousands. That adds up fast. People use these loans to buy Lamborghinis, Teslas, Ferraris, and lots of Dodge Hellcats. It said the nature of the fraudulent PPP loans seemed to mirror other low-class behavior. For example, tons of Hellcats obtained with PPP might be related to tons of Hellcats being targeted for theft. So they had a spike in stolen Hellcats. It says also the excessive spending of PPP loans on travel might be related to the record number of unruly plane passengers. Now think about that. We have seen a plethora of video of ish going down at the airport.
Oh, yeah.
People
literal ish.
I did a story yesterday of a lady who lost her shit at an airline and started throwing used maxi pads at the airline attendants.
Oh, man.
3 of them. She had 3 used ones on her.
If you remember, we had a Wheel of segment where there were so many of those coming in. We actually had
it was like what's it? It's a plane or something like that.
And it's like it seemed like every time we did it, it was always somebody smearing shit on the floor. Or
if you look, in 2020, there were 1,009 reports of unruly passengers. In 2021, there was 5,973, a 400 over almost 500% increase in unruly passengers from 2020 to 2021. And then it says excessive spending of PPP loans on lobster and crab are well known. He said, search the keywords crabs, lobster, steak, travel, and couple it with PPP. Perhaps those record crab sales after loans went out were related. So in 2021, crab, lobster, and steak started going through the roof as everybody was buying it. During COVID, by the way, where everybody got shut in their house, fired from their job, all of a sudden everybody's eating better than they've ever been. It says free money, new Wakanda, reparations. There was an unreal amount of scamming going on, and per NBC, the dollar value may be 10% of the program's total spending. A program designed to go after this and recover funds seemed laudable, but I doubt they're very recoverable. Oh, well. Yeah, I mean, I would dare say that you're not going to get that money back.
No.
I mean, and you know, you can go through and throw those people in jail that made up fake businesses, but it's like we need to. I personally don't think you should concentrate on that. You can later on, but you need to worry about what the government is doing and sending money overseas, funding terrorism and gender ideology. It's a wonder that migrants didn't come across this border, see all the gender crap going on, and said, nah, I'm going back to Guatemala. Like, this is weird. Nancy Mace was doing a committee hearing, and she started naming off all this weird gender stuff that they were doing with the USAID money
Nancy.
in other countries. Watch this right here. This is wild.
The Subcommittee on Cybersecurity, Information Technology, and Government Innovation will now come to order. And welcome. A good afternoon. Without objection, the chair may declare a recess at any time. I recognize myself for the purpose of making an opening statement. Good afternoon. Late last year, the White Coat Waste Project exposed more than $10 million in taxpayer funds that were spent creating transgender mice, rats, and monkeys. These DEI grants funded painful and deadly transgender experiments that forced lab animals to undergo invasive surgeries and hormone therapies at universities across the country. For example, the Biden-Harris administration spent $2.5 million taxpayer dollars, $2.5 million taxpayer dollars to study the fertility of transgender mice. Let that sink in. We spent over $2 million studying the fertility of transgender mice. $1.1 million was spent to find out if female rats receiving testosterone therapies to mimic transgender men were more likely to overdose on a party drug, commonly used in the LGBTQ community to induce drug-fueled what's called, quote, chemsex. I asked my staff what was chemsex and the chemical, and I guess it's something called GHB, which is a date rape drug.
That's what Diddy
and
had.
also a drug that's used
The Jell-O pudding.
So we spent over $1 million
I bet you would,
to
Bill.
find out if female rats receiving testosterone therapy were more likely to overdose on a date rape drug. Like, that's what your taxpayer dollars were being spent on. Federal funds were also used to forcibly transition male monkeys to see if hormone therapy made them more susceptible to HIV.
Oh my God.
Now, I didn't know this until recently, but monkeys cannot be infected with HIV. Yet this federally funded experiment forced them to take hormone-altering drugs to study a virus they cannot have.
That's absolutely horrible.
The Biden-Harris administration was so
God.
eager to propagate their radical gender ideology across all facets of American society that they were surgically mutating animal genitals. Like, taxpayer money went to that. So my question is, were they castrating mice, castrating monkeys? Were they getting double mastectomies? The language that they used in many of these experiments were, quote, gender affirming care, which I learned about 3 years ago what that meant. I thought that was maybe just some hormones or something something like that, but apparently gender affirming care is actually surgical mutilation of genitals, and apparently it's not just humans they're doing it to. We were doing it with taxpayer dollars to animals. It's well known that because of the differences between animal and human biology, animal testing frequently does not produce results relevant for humans. In fact, 90% of novel drugs that are successful in animal tests fail in human clinical trials. Today's scientific questions are so complex that we have well surpassed a time where it is useful or appropriate to rely on inhumane animal experiments to answer them.
Okay.
Recently,
So it sounds to me like, and I didn't know that stat, but if they test drugs for the purpose of seeing if it works for humans, if they test them on animals, by the time they get to the human trials, 90% of them fail. So it sounds like to me that there's just a bunch of scientists wanting to play with monkey balls.
I mean, and when you go to medical school, are you thinking that? And plus, are these medical doctors or are they veterinarians?
They're probably just trans dwarfs that have been DEI'd into a science
They're
lab.
probably just looking for any reason to get a paycheck from the government at this point.
And play with animal privates.
Man, well, I know other people that played with animals and killed them when they were young. They're called serial freaking killers. You think about it.
I bet if they did some of that stuff with a horse, Tim Walz would sign up.
I know it.
He needs a job.
I know it. I know it.
Oh, horse penis. Anyway, the people from not just trans people, but people that are sticking up for the trans people and have made that their number one priority. It is hard to say that these people don't have some underlying issues. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say they have a mental illness, but I mean, you've got something going on in your life that's got you so freaked out. Because I know people that are completely freaked out about the idea that Donald Trump is going to throw gays and transgenders into concentration camps or make their life a living hell. And it's like, nobody's going to mess with you, dude. I mean, there's some policies being put forward that might affect 0.0001 of the population, like boys playing in girls' sports, or something like that, or, parents not being able to put their kid under the knife for gender dysphoria, mutilation, reassignment, whatever we call it. But like the larger public, like, you're going to be fine. Quit acting like you got a mental illness. Like this lady right here. You have to listen to her as she speaks. I don't know where this is or when this is from, but she is the epitome of what we've seen over the past few days when it comes to people out protesting. And I'm assuming she's at some sort of city hall meeting or town hall meeting or something, but here's her speech.
Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people.
All right, pause. All right. Now, fast forward it a little bit, and let's see if she's still going. Then keep going. Okay, see where she's at right there.
We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people.
You know who this reminds me of? This reminds me of something Alex Stein would do.
Yeah.
Does it not? Yeah. We'll get Alex Stein on the show as well now that we're Team Bubba Army.
Yeah.
We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans.
It's like a kid having a temper tantrum.
All the trans put the hands in the air, and you wave them like you just don't care.
Get your trans hands in the air.
Dang.
Crazy, man. Yeah, it's hard to say this people don't have a mental illness. And it's causing them to lose people. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about the Democrat Party literally, being out of power for a generation. That's a reality that they haven't seemed to be able to cope with. John Fetterman was on an interview with Tara Palmieri, and I don't know who Tara Palmieri is. This is her. And Fetterman says, my party is losing people, especially white men. They've gone so far out there that people don't want to be associated with them whatsoever.
How do Democrats win back white men like yourself?
I don't know, and truthfully, I'm not sure if that's possible, to be honest. I think that's been seriously eroding for a while. And in some cases, in the conversations I've had, a lot of people, they don't even want to say it publicly, but they just feel like, the other side seems like it's like men, that men's the problem, men are to blame, or their masculinity is toxic, or unless you're able to conform to our very strict kinds of definition of what we think's appropriate, well then, hey, I'm going to find an alternative, and they've done that. That's absolutely true. And once we've kind of turned their back on that demographic, it's going to be difficult to rebuild and replace that with those voters, because I think that migration has been ongoing phenomenon for several years, and that was been in front and center, in part of the election in 24.
How fascinating is that? John Fetterman makes more sense every day.
The more he leans to the right, the more clear-headed and well-spoken he is. Have you noticed that?
Did his hump on his neck make him lean to the right or the left?
Maybe that's the side he had a
know.
stroke on, and he's like leaning into the stroke.
That's the first guy I know. His stroke turned out well afterwards.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
How much longer is he going to be with the party? I mean, really?
That's a good question. I mean, I think he might leave. How hard do you think it would be to get Fetterman on this show?
Pretty hard, probably.
You think so? I mean, to get him to zoom in.
You could try. It's always worth trying.
Yeah.
And then we play him his theme song.
No, I will not be here for that.
It's John Fetterman.
They probably have a problem with the chase and you know who with the shotgun.
It's not like he doesn't know he did that. Well, I guess they could have forgotten.
I wouldn't
after
coming
stroke.
after me.
Maybe he did forget he chased a black guy with a shotgun.
That may have been during. Well, no, it was before.
It was before.
Yeah.
God, what a crazy wild ride the past 4 years has been.
Yeah.
Amazing.
One staple in Congress, a guy that doesn't seem like he's going to be going anywhere. His name's Al Green. You familiar with Al Green?
Oh, yeah, Reverend Al Green.
Yeah. Is he?
Oh, baby.
Oh, no, that's a different.
That's a singer, no.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's a pastor in Memphis. Okay, that's a different one. Okay.
This guy, he looks like he woke up on the side of the interstate like every day, day after day.
Oh, gosh.
And he walks around with a cane. He kind of looks like a pimp, like not a cool pimp, but like a real life pimp that's been in the game for a long time. And he is somebody that constantly during Donald Trump's term, the first time, filed articles of impeachment, just over everything, anything and everything. It was impeach Trump. It's impeach Trump. Well, Al Green's at it again, and he has filed new articles of impeachment against DJT.
And still I rise, Mr. Speaker. And I rise
Told you,
today,
you look like a
Mr.
pimp.
Speaker, with a to whom it may concern message.
That Keynes is like look
To
or
whom it may
whatever.
concern, ethnic cleansing in Gaza is not a joke.
Not a joke.
Especially when it emanates from the President of the United States, the most powerful person in the world, when he has the ability to perfect what he says. Ethnic cleansing in Gaza is no joke, and the Prime Minister of Israel should be ashamed.
For shame.
Knowing the history of his people.
Yeah.
To stand there.
Tell him.
And allow such things to be said.
Despicable.
Ethnic cleansing has been a crime against humanity.
Yeah.
And I stand here today in the well to denounce what was said, to denounce what the president said, to denounce the complicity of the Prime Minister of Israel.
Complicity.
And to remind people that Dr. King was right. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And injustice in Gaza is a threat to justice in the United States of America. I rise to announce that the movement to impeach the president has begun. I rise to announce that I will bring articles of impeachment against the president.
Oh, no.
For dastardly deeds proposed.
Done dirt cheap.
Dastardly deeds done.
Dirt cheap.
Dastardly deeds done dirt cheap. Dastardly deeds. All right, that's enough of him. He's,
yeah, I mean, he does. You're right, man. If he had a felt hat on.
Imagine all the things that Donald Trump has gone through, and then the end of the road comes where he gets impeached over dastardly deeds.
Done dirt cheap.
Done dirt cheap. Here's Al Green promoting his Trump needs to be impeached deal when somebody from Richard in Savannah calls in to C-SPAN.
When people see these signs, I assure you, the pressure is going to be on Congress to do something.
Because the lines have lit up. Richard in Savannah, Georgia, Republican. You're up first, Richard.
Thank you. I watched you yesterday with the Democrat Party out protesting everything that Elon Musk is trying to do for the American people. The USAID is a 100% a money laundering scheme around the world, kickbacks back to the Democrat Party, whether it's through the Clinton Foundation.
Watch his face.
$4.4 billion and $84 million went to her daughter.
It's like somebody farted in the room.
All y'all have is impeachments and race and gender, et cetera.
What's that smell?
Nothing for the people of America today.
Well, I thought we had the whole phone call. Well, scratch that.
You know what? Props to
Richard in Savannah.
No, props to
Al Green.
Pimp guy, Al Green. He let him speak. He didn't interrupt.
He was probably highly confused. The Richard in Savannah guy, his name, he's right. That's what they do. It's impeachment and race.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do is look at Ayanna Pressley, who you looked a little shocked when you saw her picture.
Yeah.
She just I don't know if she's what's the disease called? Alopecia? Yeah. Is that what she's got?
Or she's doing that. What is the North Korean thing where women are shaving their heads?
Oh, maybe that. Well, her head was already bald. Wait, you said North Korea?
It started in North Korea or South Korea, excuse me.
Over Donald Trump?
No.
Because women were shaving their head over Donald Trump.
Right, in America, but they stole the movement from South Vietnam.
I don't know if she was an activist or a reporter or what, but there was some lady who had sterilized herself so she couldn't have children because she was scared she would get pregnant during the Trump administration and wouldn't be able to abort her child.
It's that brainwashing to get you every time.
But anyway, they got Kim Reynolds, who is the governor of Iowa. And I'm not even sure why they're having this hearing, but listen to how Ayanna Pressley treats the governor of Iowa.
Like Iowa. Governor Reynolds, let's learn more about the state. Do you know what percentage of Iowans are white and what percentage are black?
I don't know the exact percentages, no. We're by far a larger percentage of white population.
That's correct. Iowa is 90% white and only 4.5% black. So that is drastically different from the national population. So when Republicans suggest Iowa should be a national model, they're advocating for a government that doesn't reflect our country. So let's talk about what this model.
Okay, here's the thing. Nobody gets a shirt.
I know. What's the percentage of blacks in America?
13%.
Okay. 90. I mean, come on.
And what did she say it was in Iowa? 4%?
Yeah, 4%.
Okay. Well, that's not bad for a white state. There's white states, there's white cities, there's black cities.
Well, maybe it's very. I know that it gets very cold there. I would like to know, like North Dakota, South Dakota, what's the percentage?
It's almost like they're trying to force black people to do stuff they don't want to do. Like, black people don't want to live in Iowa. Black people don't want to work air traffic control. Like, why are you telling them, like, hey, you need to do that? Let them do what they want to do. If they don't want these certain jobs and they don't want to live in these certain states, they ain't got to.
Could you imagine if, like, the NBA had a quota they had to meet for white people?
Right.
Yeah.
We don't have enough whiters on the court.
Yeah, you don't hear that.
Lots of three-pointers going on.
Yeah.
Here's another race baiter, Ashley Allison. She's, I don't even know what she's talking about. Just play it.
I do not have the same opportunity.
Oh, okay, there it is.
I know I don't.
And you know
and
that
I know
too.
Let's go.
And you know that.
Let me just tell you about me.
I'm gonna let you finish, but I want to answer this.
I'm not talking about how you feel. I'm talking about how I feel. Me, a black woman in this country.
But not in this city.
And I will run. And if you want
I'm
me
a New Yorker, not in this city. You cannot say that. You can't say that in this city.
I'm not talking about New York. I'm talking about Ashley.
Let her finish.
Okay,
Let her finish.
I got a law degree, a master's, and 2 bachelors. Probably more education than all of y'all added up together at this table, right? And I have always been the least paid person on payroll at every institution I have worked in. And it's not
Even in the White House?
Even in the White House.
Well, whose fault is that? I don't think you worked for George W. or Trump.
Well, guess wasn't what happened when I was there. DEI.
Okay, so maybe you were the least paid person on payroll because you're an asshole.
Yeah. And how does she know what everybody makes?
Yeah, who's ratting out who?
Or who's a lying?
Somebody's lying about
Somebody
their pay.
lying.
All right, we got to get out of here.
Oh man, really? This has flown by.
Yeah, it has. We're up against the clock. Final words, as we always do. By the way, Bubba Army, if you're watching this, I don't know if this is going to get to y'all, but welcome to Over the Line. Tony Gump, final words.
Final words are, let's get rid of all this chaos. Let's keep the audits going, keep Doge going. I think it's great. I think there's a lot more behind this Treasury Department than what we're being told. There's just way too much money there, and if they don't want them going in there to where the point they're storming Mike Johnson's office, there's a problem. Make sure to get plenty of water, meat, sunlight, and sleep, and stay positive.
Yeah, something smells fishy, and it's probably Al Green, but there's something going on at the Treasury.
There is.
John Bird, final words.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot since last night. I had a dream last night. I woke up, I don't remember it, but I was not feeling good, but I do know it involved toenails.
Oh, God.
No. Let me tell you something. Something I'm very thankful for. I'm 61, but I'm very thankful that my hair grows quickly and my fingernails and toenails also grow quickly.
Well, you don't want those to grow quickly, do you?
Well, yeah, because, I mean, some people get brittle and they get fungus and they break off and all that. So, I keep them very well trimmed. But the main reason why I am getting cremated is I do not want my fingernails and my hair to continue growing, because did you know that happens? It continues to grow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I knew that. It's dead cells.
Yeah. So I want to look good. I want to look good at the very end. I don't want to get old and rotty. Put me in. I mean, man, you just...
So for people, I mean, since we're talking about black people versus white people, black people are able to hold their funerals a lot later than white people, in the sense of like from when they die to when you have the service. So are you saying like their toenails and fingernails continue to grow during that period? Like, could you die with trimmed nails, and then by the time you get to your funeral 2 weeks later, you got long nails?
Possibly with me, because, I mean,
Well, we can't wait 2 weeks to bury you. You're going to start stinking.
No. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to prove you guys. I'm going to prove to you I'm not going to trim my nails.
No, don't do that.
Until a Democrat is in office.
Don't do that. Don't do that. That is an awful idea.
No, but yeah, I mean, trim your nails. Take care of yourself. Don't, you can cut people when you're in bed with them.
Meat, sunlight, sleep, trim toenails.
Yes.
And fingernails.
Yes. And get cremated.
All right. Thank y'all. Love you long time. For everybody that has supported us, I know we're on this new venture with the Bubba Army, but for those of you that are the OGs, thank you. You're the reason we continue to do this podcast, even when it's not easy. I mean, let's be honest, boys. Some days it's not easy to get in here and do this podcast, and y'all keep us going. So thank you. Love you long time. And until next time, see you, cuz.